Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Okay, Secretary, let's move on to foreign policy. We talked about tariffs right before the break. That's a form of foreign policy, economic foreign policy. What's the state of America's foreign policy 6 weeks in?
Upside down. I mean, look, everybody knows this is not an abstract academic theory. Like, one of the basic ideas of foreign policy is you fight your enemies and you help your friend. Okay. Canada is our friend. Russia is our adversary. Mm-hmm. And he's got us fighting Canada and helping Russia. It's upside down.
Well, let's talk about the meeting on Friday in the Oval Office when they met with Vance and Trump met with Zelensky. It didn't go great, and now Trump has suspended all military aid to Ukraine. What was going through your mind when you were watching that?
Well, I was thinking about when I had the opportunity to sit down with Zelensky when I traveled to Ukraine as secretary. To talk about some of the ways that U.S. assistance could make a difference in helping them reestablish supply chains and work toward getting civil aviation back, and all the things they need to have a thriving economy. And he was so focused and also so appreciative of the relationship between the U.S. and Ukraine. And the thing that I saw when I was there was that these folks are fighting for themselves, they're fighting for their lives, they're fighting for their democracy, but also, in a certain way, they're fighting for us. They're fighting for any freedom-loving people, which is why we're there for them. That's why it's wrong to sell them out.
Should some people listen? I don't engage in international diplomacy. Some people have said that Zelensky did not handle that well. That he should have not risen to the bait. Even Lindsey Graham said to him ahead of time, "Don't rise to the bait," which of course implies that Lindsey knew that there was going to be bait.
Yeah,
because should Zelensky have done something different in that moment?
Look, it definitely looked to a lot of us like a setup. And if you think about it, like many things in this administration that are totally shocking and totally unsurprising, all they did was kind of act out what we've all been expecting, which is a plan on the part of President Trump to sell out Ukraine to Russia. What form it takes, what theater goes around it, I think is secondary to the policy, and clearly this is his policy.
It seemed like, to me, if you kind of strip it down to what they were saying, it really seemed like they were there as advocates for Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, I mean, there's some line about how Putin had to suffer through the whole thing where we noticed that he was messing with our elections, right? That was really a moment of just really victimizing Vladimir Putin. It was weird stuff.
It's like Trump and Putin had bonded in some brotherly way.
Look, I mean, obviously there is an affection and an admiration that he has for autocrats around the world, including Putin, who's a ruthless, murderous dictator.
He had an opportunity tonight to explain to America why we flipped our allegiances in 6 weeks. He didn't do so.
Yeah.
And if you can't explain why you're doing something that drastic, if that remains a secret, I think it's reasonable to imagine that that's nefarious.
I mean, it's not good. And it's not defensible.
Or not good, nefarious, not good.
No, but look, the same reason he didn't explain, why he's going to have trillions of dollars in tax cuts for the rich and go after Medicaid at the same time. A whole bunch of what they're doing is inexplicable, not just for the president, but for the members of Congress, and I'm especially thinking about Republicans, who clearly know better. Don't get me wrong, some of them maybe don't. But a lot of them do. And the fact that you had a senator from Kansas walk out on his own town hall after about half an hour, the fact that the word has gone out from the Republican Congressional Committee, don't do town halls anymore, tells you that they know that they cannot stand and face their constituents and explain any of this.
You were the mayor of a small town. You understand how to manage, government employees. Musk is in there with, a metaphorical and literal chainsaw, cutting people out of the federal government at random, apparently,
right.
And basically, let God sort him out. What does it mean? What is it like to see the federal government being dismantled like this to someone who understands the value of the federal workforce?
Yeah, the randomness is the real problem here. Look, I would be the first to say, I feel even more strongly after my time in Washington that there are things in the government that need to be shaken up, that need to be changed. We worked a lot on that when I was there. Same thing when I was mayor of South Bend. We took whole departments and took them apart and put them back together. And actually, some people had to be let go as part of that process, but it was a careful process to make sure we could serve people better. This is not that. I mean, you're talking about the FAA. They still have refused to explain which positions they cut and why. It's not like they looked through the employees and said, these are the poor performers, they've got to go. It's not like they looked through the jobs and said, these are the least important jobs, they've got to go. They fired thousands of people across the government just because they can. And sometimes they did it by accident. The people in charge of nuclear weapons, who then they scrambled to hire back, the people in charge of making sure we don't have bird flu, right? This is really important stuff. And
we got to go to commercial here. Before I go, you were Secretary of Transportation. Back when you were Transportation Secretary, the planes land this way or upside down? I was just... Think about it when we're going, okay? We'll be right back with more Pete Buttigieg.